Good day, this is Live to Tape. We are going to be recording the Vicki Barr Air Stewardess series, The Clue of the Golden Coin. This is going to be live to tape, so I'm going to be recording this in one go. So you guys get to hear a little bit of my flubs. I'm getting better at it, but I'm happy with how they turn out. So Chapter 6, The New York Interlude. When 6 hours later in New York, Vicki entered a large apartment she shared with 5 other Federal Airline hostesses. She found the place in shambles. Furniture was piled up, helter-shelters, canvas-covered parts of the floor, and paint buckets and stepladders were stacked in corners. A wave of turpentine-flavored air assailed her nose, and at the same time, that pounding rhythm of swing and sway music from the record player blasted in her ears. "The lost is found," Celia Tremble greeted her gaily. "The stranger has returned. Come in, stranger, we're having a party." Vicki waved her hands around at the jumble of scaffold and paint buckets and stepladders. "What in the world? We were being painted, Vicki. At last, after 2 years of pestering the landlord, we're finally being painted. And to honor this eventful occasion, we're giving a party. You're just in time." Vicki stepped over the piles of newspapers and brushes, buckets and paint-splattered overalls, and entered the apartment's big living room. Apparently the painters hadn't gotten this far, for the room seemed to be in fair semblance of order. The rug, however, had been thrown back, and 2 couples were dancing to the swing beat of the music. Dot Conley was dancing with Pete Caramley, the newspaper reporter, and Jean Cox with Vicki's former co-pilot, Dean Fletcher. When the 4 spotted Vicki in the living room doorway, Dean stopped in mid-step and led Jean over to her. "Well, well," he said, his tan face split in a big grin. "How does my little ex-crew member like the sunny South?" "It's the greatest," Vicki laughed. "Then how come you haven't got a Florida suntan?" "I'm working on it," Vicki replied. She looked up at the tall flyer. But you're tan enough for both of us." "This tan I got down in Mexico on my vacation," Dean assured her proudly. "And you know what, Vicki? Remember that hidden valley we discovered down there? Darn if I can't find it again. Well, I was flying around this time. And," he grinned archly, "without you." "Impossible." "Look, you two," Jean said. "Why don't you dance while you talk? I'll go help Mrs. Duff make the sandwiches." Dean Fletcher danced as well as he flew, and that, Vicki knew, was good. Think we'll ever be assigned to the same crew again?" Vicki asked, as Dean whirled her around to the swing of the music. "In this business," Dean smiled, "you never can tell. But I have my fingers crossed. I miss you." At that moment, the music stopped while the record player was changed. And Pete Carmody came ambling over. The reporter was tall and thin, and unlike Dean Fletcher, his skin looked as if it hadn't been exposed to the sun for years. "Hi, Vic," the reporter said. "We have a whale of a story on the wire today about Tampa. Aren't you on that run?" Vicki nodded her head. "Was the story something about gold coins?" "It was. Know anything about it?" "Oh, not much," Vicki said, crinkling up her mouth in mock concentration. "Except that my plane was carrying the gold." "What?" Peter almost shouted. "Don't get excited, Pete," Vicki smiled. "My flight had the gold coins on board. We didn't know it until we were questioned by the FBI at noon today. So I'm not what you call a news source." "I can see the headlines now," Pete said. "Vicki Barr, famous airlines hostess and gold thief, admits holding up a plane carrying treasure in midair, makes off with booty." He stopped his kidding and grew serious. "No fooling, Vic. Do you know anything I could use?" "Seriously, Pete," Vicki said. "Not a thing. I don't know how much of a story your paper got, but I can tell you that the Tampa police and the FBI are up against what they admit is a blank wall." You mean to say, Pete asked, that somebody just waved his magic fingers and a chest of gold was changed to a chest of nuts and bolts? Pete, Vicki said, that's exactly what it looks like. At the moment, Mrs. Duff, the girl's housekeeper, appeared with a helping platter of sandwiches. She followed this with a steaming pot of coffee and a cool pitcher of milk. After the supper was eaten, Mrs. Duff had cleared away the dishes. Pete Carman got to his feet and clapped his hands for attention. We will now, he proclaimed, play charades. Miss Vicki Barr will captain one team, and I will captain the other. Vicki, take your first choice of players. It was the winter crisp air in New York, and the informal atmosphere of the apartment which she shared with her friends. Vicki relaxed and gave her mind over to the problem of how to act out. A horse, my kingdom for a horse. But deep in her subconscious, like chips of wood in a whirlpool, names and people and things were churning themselves up and around and over. Joey's flashlight, the slick Latin-type imposter, a sick old man on the airplane, a restaurant in Ubar City, a tired-looking FBI man trying to solve a challenging case. She was glad when the party broke up early, and she could tumble into bed. Isn't this turpentine smell awful? Jean said, as she turned out the lights and pulled the covers up over her head. You won't believe it, Jean, Vicki said, but it smells like oleander. I wish it wouldn't. And that was chapter 6. And the next episode, we'll do chapter 7, Ubar City.